All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. And before we get started, let me just make sure notification has popped up. Make sure we good for sound. Give me a second here. Let me see. All right. Hopefully, you brothers and you few sisters who are watching can hear me. Just give me a moment. Make sure this is going good in the background. You few sisters. Yep, sounds perfect. All right, sounds good to me. So let's roll in the spirit. All right. So first and foremost, Shalom, call Halal Yumla, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well, and peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, beginning with the 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children out of the 12 tribes whom Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai will ultimately have mercy upon in these last days. I'm your brother Matazabab, residing from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And this is going to be a MOTB update regarding prophecy pertaining to the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter. And I've decided through the Spirit to entitle this lesson, Marked into the Mysteries of Babylon the Great's System. Okay, because this is the time that we're in. Okay, and this is one of the main prophecies that we should be speaking upon, because it's not only a very big deal, but when this prophecy comes to pass, okay, as the scriptures foretells of it happening, all right, as it mentions in Ezekiel the 33rd chapter, then you're going to know that you were in the midst of a prophet. All right, so we want to kick off the lesson here with a video that I found on TikTok as of today, January 17, 2026, which today, where I'm located, is actually January 18th, because Australia is one day ahead of America. All right. But I'm going to let this video play. All right. And give a little commentary on it. And before I do that, Salaki, let me take it back. Make sure the volume is up. All right. Let's check this out.
Oh, this is big news, and it's probably going to go to the Supreme Court. And let me tell you, this is terrifying, and I am not being hyperbolic here. ICE is in court right now arguing on behalf of American citizens for a Papers, Please America. Their position right here in black and white is that state IDs and real IDs are no longer reliable proof that you belong in the United States of America, which means, according to them, immigration agents can stop you, detain you, handcuff you, and run your biometrics without probable cause until the government decides whether you're allowed to be free, whether you're here legally. And that is not law enforcement. That is pre-constitutional policing. This is how secret police operate, not by charging you with a crime, but by suspending your liberty while they check to make sure that you're innocent. See, ICE is effectively arguing that citizenship is conditional unless you have a passport on you, because that is the only paperwork that's going to work in their view. So let's talk about what that actually means in real life, because most Americans don't carry a passport. Millions don't even have one. So who's going to get stopped? People with accents, people with brown skin, people who look foreign. And ICE says they're not targeting citizens, but their own argument makes citizens detainable first and innocent later. That flips the Constitution on its head. You're presumed guilty first, in their view. I mean, the Fourth Amendment at least requires probable cause, and the Fifth guarantees due process. ICE is trying to bypass both of those amendments by calling these detention administrative. But there's nothing administrative about being handcuffed, held for any length of time, fingerprinted, and treated like a suspect without suspicion simply because of the color of your skin or an accent. And this is not about border security. This is about expanding government power to stop and restrain whoever they choose, and forcing you to prove that you are innocent rather than prove that you're guilty. And courts fortunately have not approved this yet, but the fact that the federal government has even been making this argument tells you everything. And this is going to go to the Supreme Court. A 6-3 conservatively biased towards Donald Trump's Supreme Court. I mean, this is a vision of America where freedom is provisional, citizenship is interrogated, and rights depend on what's in your pocket. And that's not security, that's authoritarianism with a badge. And if people don't push back now, this won't stop with immigration checks, because it never does.
Right. Now, everything that she's saying, okay, is true, right? To a certain extent. And here's what I mean by that. Now, what people don't understand, let's turn our attentions. Let's come over here. Uh, hopefully, let's remove this. Let's add this to the stage. All right. Um, now, when you go to World Economic Forum website, okay, because see, you Americans, all right, you so-called Babylonians, all right, you don't understand what's coming on. This is why the prophets are here and telling you, we're going to show you everything that she stated in that video. This is what they are doing, not just to America, but on a global scale, according to Revelation 3 and 10. And let's grab that really quickly before I go into the site. So let's get that precept real quick. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10, to show you that these prophecies, okay, are faithful and true, as the scriptures tells us. This is Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also would keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And when you go into the Greek word for world, real quick, it tells you the Greek word is oikimene. All right, when you drop down here to outline biblical usage, literally it means the whole inhabited earth, the world. So every single person, including myself, okay, when that hour of temptation cometh, as the scriptures tells us, all right, this is what's going to happen. You are going to be tried, as the scriptures tells us, okay? And this is what we have to do. So now let's go back to the website. I'm going to show you. Now, when you come onto this website, okay, and it's entitled WEF, World Economic Forum Committee, right? And you need to come over here where my cursor is on the screen. You're going to click on that little tab. You're going to come down to where it says intelligence, okay? And in intelligence, you want to come down to where it says global issue. Now, why? Notice they put global issue and it says artificial intelligence. So we're going to click on that. All right. We're going to click on this, and it's going to give you this little chart here, which is very important. All right. Now, what we want to do is, if you're looking at this chart, you want to come over here and you want to find, and I'll zoom in on the screen. You want to find right here where it says digital identity. And you want to click on that. And it's going to load up. All right. And then we're going to put it back to normal size so you brothers and sisters can see. All right. Because this is what's coming. We just read Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10. The whole world is going to be tempted, okay, with the hour of temptation, which actually goes into that microchip that they're going to place into your hand. And we're going to prove to you that it is indeed a microchip. All right. Now, we've clicked on digital identity, and this is what the elites are trying to establish. So let's read this little drop down tab here. And before we do that, when you have a look at this wheel, the five main factors here from that tab, it tells you identity, fraud, and cyber resilience, from silos to collaboration, privacy, agency, and trust, the economic value of digital identity, and digital inclusion and opportunity. Right now, we're going to click on the economic value of digital identity. All right. Now, I want to read this real quick. Over here on the right side of the screen. All right. And I want you to just pay attention. Okay. It says, in a study of 7 countries published in 2019, the McKinsey Global Institute estimated that providing digital identities could result in added economic value equal to as much as 13% of their GDP by 2030. save 110 billion hours via e-government services, and help the estimated 1.7 billion people who remain without access to formal financial services, often as a result of a lack of documentation. Okay. And this is the reason why the ICE agents right now, they are taken to the Supreme Court, which I ended up looking up earlier. Let me see if I can find that for you, brothers and sisters. Yep, here it is right here. All right. And I looked up this article earlier. Okay, for anybody who thinks that, oh, he's just talking bullshit out of his, well, no, we're not. Hopefully it'll load. Come on. Let's see. Hopefully this loads. All right. Let's reset. If not, it's all good. Yeah, all right, here we go. The water Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Now, as you can see here, immigration officials say a real ID does not prove legal status. Okay. And you have to understand the reason why they are pushing this is because of what we are about to read back at the website in the Strategic Intelligence of the World Economic Forum Committee. Right now, you have to understand something. This is all done, okay, under the guise of we need to make America great again, and we need to prove resident statusship. Now, quick read of this. It says St. Paul, with federal immigration and customs enforcement, IC agents ramping up efforts in Minnesota, there are growing concerns about proving immigration status. Okay, now this is a cover up because the whole end game is to have everybody microchipped. Okay, and so what you're going to find out is when we continue to go through this lesson, they are staging FF, which stands for false flag attempts, or sometimes they call them psyops, or whatever terminology you want to throw on them. Wag the dog, tell of events, whatever it is you prefer to call it. It's all the same stuff, right? Now it says immigration experts for months have been listing what to carry in case your status is called to question or into question. Get rid of that. It says last year, Minnesota came into compliance with federal real ID regulations, with thousands of ICE agents swarming the state looking for illegal immigrants. There are questions if a real ID can be used to verify citizenship, right? Quote, I showed them my real ID and the ICE officers told me that wasn't good enough. Julia Decker with the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota says she hears with or from clients. Decker said it's hard to say how many times this has happened, but her office continues to hear the stories. The documentation you have to show in order to receive the real ID are unexpired proof of lawful presence in the United States. That was sort of the whole purpose, right? Now, this doesn't come to surprise because remember, the same thing is currently happening in the United Kingdom as we speak. Hence why the Prime Minister Starmer introduced the digital ID for alleged illegal immigrants who come in and they're not working, okay, or they're working but they don't have the correct status or legal documentation paperwork to work within the country. So this is the backdrop of what these nations are working towards in order to establish this digital ID system. Okay, now we're going to come back to this. Let's come back over here to the WEF form, right? Now, remember, we're talking about documentation. It says, according to the study, businesses could benefit from improved efficiency, lowered cost, and fraud reduction, and save up to $1.6 trillion thanks to digital identities. Estonia currently facilitates public services, including healthcare, banking, and voting via a digital identity system. In 2014 alone, the system was used over 1 billion times for authentication. It saves people an estimated 5 days per year that would otherwise be spent dealing with bureaucracy, and it cuts costs equivalent to 2% of the GDP. And meanwhile, India's Aadhaar digital ID system or identity system is a centralized means to promote social inclusion and access to government services. As of 2020, it covered 90% of the population and have saved the government money by reducing fraud, according to Deloitte in the center of global development. All right, now here's where it gets a little bit interesting. It says COVID-19 has underlined the economic value of digital identity, right? Why did it do that? Salakia, right? Let me read it again. It says COVID-19 has underlined the economic value of digital identity, and the many students limited to taking online classes at home and the surge in remote working relied on sound digital systems to verify identities and validate certificates. Now, why are they saying this? Because what many people don't know is I have a video here, and this is from back in 2018 from BBC. This guy right here, Yuval Harari, is the guy that's responsible for saying that the pandemic back in between 2019 and 2020 has ushered in a new era of surveillance. So what is that implying? Well, that's simply implying the fact that this was already prescribed for them to actually usher in across the four corners of the earth. They already knew what they were going to do. And this goes back as far as 2015, right? But nevertheless, let's check this out.
Does this COVID-19 crisis, which you call the biggest crisis of our lifetimes, does it to you represent, in the end, little more than a bump in the road? Or is it something more profound than that?
I think that in our lifetime, if you think in terms of a couple of decades, it will be big. Not because of the epidemic itself, but even more so because of the economic and political consequences. But in the long sweep of history, thousands of years, no, I don't think it will be one of the big events of history. It could be a watershed event in several ways, like we discussed earlier with surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century.
You hear what he said? I'm gonna bring it back. He said the pandemic gave them an opportunity of a new era of surveillance, which is going to go under the skin. This is why we spoke about the microchip. Now, this was said back in 2018. So it's not far-fetched why the ICE agents are taken to court. This is as of right now, the ICE agents, they've taken to the Supreme Court to pretty much do away with the real ID, because the real ID does not substantiate a person's full identity. And we know what this is going to lead to. All right, because the full identity is going to be implanted under your skin. Just stay with me, because this is all going to come to fruition. Let me take this back a little bit.
No, I don't think it will be one of the big events of history. It could be a watershed event in several ways, like we discussed earlier with surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin.
Now, why did he say surveillance under the skin? Because it has nothing to do with you, just scanning your face, okay? Facial recognition technology and all of that stuff. No, all of that was to prep you for the end game of what it is that they want to do over the whole entire planet Earth. They want to chip you. And this is according to biblical prophecy, right? Let's continue.
Which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century. The moment when a system out there knows me better than I know myself.
Now, with him saying that, let's bring this back. And let's listen to this one more time.
Oh, this is big news, and it's probably going to go to the Supreme Court. And let me tell you, this is terrifying, and I am not being hyperbolic here. ICE is in court right now arguing on behalf of American citizens for a Papers, Please America. Their position right here in black and white is that state IDs and real IDs are no longer reliable proof that you belong in the United States of America.
So state IDs and real IDs are no longer reliable proof that you are a citizen of the United States of America. So what they're openly saying to you is this, because right now they're saying, when you look it up, that for the exception, if you have a passport, that is the only way you can guarantee it. But see, we're coming into the era where even your paper book passport is not going to be sufficient enough, because now when you look it up, let me see. See here. All right. So when you come over here, I just typed in which countries now have electronic passports. It says most countries worldwide now issue electronic passports or e-passports with embedded microchips for biometric data, like photos and fingerprints, to enhance security and speed up border crossings, including the US, UK, Germany, Japan, Canada, Australia, India, and most of the EU. With Malaysia being the pioneer in 1998, over 170 countries and regions use them, with the EU mandating chips since 2004, making them near universal standard for international travel. You see? And again, anybody can look this up, Salakia. Let me take that off the stage and put this on the stage. So there you have it right there. You can pause and read if you want. Okay. So those countries that it just outlined here, they've already have set the stage, moving people from regular paper passport books and moving people onto e-passports. But looking forward or ahead to what Yuval Harari said, when the pandemic came in 2020, okay, this set the stage for a new era of surveillance, which now they want to place the surveillance underneath your skin. All right. And we're going to show you in the scriptures how this spells out to be the microchip. Now, let me come back over here really quickly. Let's take that down. Let's put this back up.
To them, immigration agents can stop you, detain you, handcuff you, and run your biometrics without probable cause until the government decides whether you're allowed to be free, whether you're here legally. And that is not law enforcement. That is pre-constitutional policing. This is how secret police operate, not by charging you with a crime, but by suspending your liberty while they check to make sure that you're innocent. See, ICE is effectively arguing that citizenship is conditional unless you have a passport on you, because that is the only paperwork that's going to work in their view. So let's talk about what that actually means in real life, because most Americans don't carry a passport. Millions don't even have one. So who's going to get stopped? People with accents, people with brown skin, people who look foreign. And ICE says they're not targeting citizens, but their own argument makes citizens detainable first and innocent later. That flips the Constitution on its head. You're presumed guilty first, in their view. I mean, the Fourth Amendment at least requires probable cause, and the Fifth guarantees due process. ICE is trying to bypass both of those amendments by calling these detention administrative. But there's nothing administrative about being handcuffed, held for any length of time, fingerprinted, and treated like a suspect without suspicion simply because of the color of your skin or an accent. And this is not about border security. This is about expanding government power to stop and restrain whoever they choose, and forcing you to prove that you are innocent rather than prove that you're guilty. And courts fortunately have not approved this yet, but the fact that the federal government has even been making this argument tells you everything. And this is going to go to the Supreme Court. A 6-3 conservatively biased towards Donald Trump's Supreme Court. I mean, this is a vision of America where freedom is provisional, citizenship is interrogated, and rights depend on what's in your pocket. And that's not security, that's authoritarianism with a badge. And if people don't push back now, this won't stop with immigration checks, because it never does.
All right. So let's come back over here. All right. So now I'm going to show you how this all is going to tie into that chip. Now, when you go to Revelation, let me do this so you can see. If you're in the blue letter, all right, and we're going to show you, even your top biblical scholars, they know that this is coming, and be that of the actual microchip, right? Revelation 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark or a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, when you click on a tab tools here and you come to commentaries, and one of the biblical scholars by the name of John Brown, he actually goes into this as to what the elites are planning to do. Okay, now if we scroll down, all right, there's a man by the name of Dr. Carl Sanders. Now, for those of you who don't know, let's pull this up really quickly. All right, Dr. Carl Sanders. All right, let me get some images of him. All right, let me see here. I want to make sure I get the right one. Let me see. So you understand. Let's see, creator. Shit. All right. Make sure I got it in here. All right. So let me share my tab. All right. So this is the guy right here, Dr. Carl Sanders. All right. He's the inventor of the microchip. All right. And this is an old video that came out many years ago. And basically he was at a church service somewhere in Italy, and he actually told the truth of what the elites made him do pertaining to making that sort of technology. All right. And you can look this video up. I'm not going to go into it now. All right. But the information is out there, man. All right. We're living in the 21st century where you literally have the information right here on your hands. It's just up to you whether you want to look it up and go into it or not. Choice is yours. But nevertheless, let's come back over here. All right. Now, when we deal with the MOTB, which is the RFID micro C hip, I want to read this here where it says Revelation 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, or free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, when you go into the Strong's G5480, for the word mark is charagma, all right, which is a thing carved, sculpture, or graven work. All right. Now, when you go into the etymology of these words, it actually goes into what's called an incision, which means to cut into. Then you have, when you go into the etymology of the word charagma, it gives you this next Strong's G5482, which is the word charax, which is to sharpen to a point through the idea of scratching. Okay. Now, it says this sounds a lot like a hypodermic needle piercing the skin. Okay. And remember what this guy, all right, remember what he said. Let me take him back. Surveillance under the skin, right?
Event in several ways, like we discussed earlier with surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin.
Right. Surveillance under the skin. Keep that in mind. Let's come back over here. So we're talking about this hypodermic needle, which is this utensil that's going to be used to actually pierce through your skin to insert that microchip. Now, continuing on, it says, if you remember last week, we pointed out that the number 666 had a name, and that name was Chi Psi Stigma, right? Which goes back to Strong's G4742, stigma from stizo, which equals to stick or prick, a mark, pricked in or branded upon the body. Remember, Yuval Harari just said surveillance under the skin. You are about to witness how this goes hand in hand, right? It says one of Webster's dictionary definitions calls stigma a small spot, scar, or opening on a plant or animal. In the readout of this microchip, okay, there were 9 levels of information. Remember, we were speaking about documentations and how the ICE agents, they're going to court saying that, listen, your real ID and your state ID, that's no longer irrelevant. Look, let's just scrap all of that because it's irrelevant. It's no longer required. It doesn't give us substantial proof that you are who you say you are, right? Hence the reason why everything is going digital. They are trying to push the concept and notion to every single person around the globe that this is the only way for us to identify you. We're going to put a small device within you that is going to carry all of your information, whether you like it or not. And oh, by the way, if you do not take it, you will be outskirts from society. This is where we're headed. Okay. Notice it says in the readout of this microchip, there are 9 levels of information that the designers wanted included. They were your name and an image or picture of your face. They also wanted to include social security numbers with the extra international digits. A fingerprint identification was also to be included. Physical description, family history, address, criminal record, occupation, and your income tax information. Strong's G5481, character, and an expression, the exact expression, the image of any person or thing, marked likeness, precise reproduction in every respect, i.e. facsimile. Number 1, this microchip has exactly that, and an express image of its recipient. This is the reason why whatever false flag or PSYOP event that they're going to try to push next is going to lead everyone to having to be put in a position where you're going to have to choose. If you want to eat, if you want to participate within the society, you're going to have to take the MOTB. Otherwise, you're going to be outskirts from society. You see? And this is what we're leading to. It says there are bills before Congress right now and others that have been passed that will allow a microchip of identification to be injected into your child at the time of birth. They showed you this in the film. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I think it was on the episode of Black Mirror. Let me see here. Boom, there it is right here. Okay. If any of you watched the show Black Mirror, okay, this episode, Black Mirror season 4, okay, Archangel, all right. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the doctors, they tried to persuade the mom to microchip her young daughter so that they can find her if she goes missing or whatever the case may be, not understanding that they not only have control of the child, but through data sequencing and radiation effects, they can actually control her child without the parent actually knowing. Okay. And there was other stuff that was said within this show that by them inserting this microchip into the child, the capabilities of what science can actually do to help the child even further. So it's real scary in a sense, but this is what you call predictive programming. Okay. And this is where we come to, man. All right. And they're putting it in TV shows. Matter of fact, you have another one. Let me do this right off the bat. This is called Mercy 2026. All right. Look up this film. I'm going to take my my rib next week to go and see this. But this film is another predictive programming. Okay. Mercy. And basically it's pretty much what is happening in America right now, where your whole judicial system is going towards a regime of a dictatorship. And you have this corporation known as Palantir, whom Donald J. Trump is in cahoots with, paying, millions or billions of dollars to pretty much back their AI system to make it like as if you are living in the true movie of Minority Report, played by Tom Cruise, if you remember that movie. But within this particular movie, Mercy, which is coming out this week, basically, he pretty much gets tried in the American judicial system, which is no longer ran by a court system. They put the full court system in a digital artificial intelligent judge. All right. And you can check out the trailer. And this movie is pretty badass, but it's also scary at the same time, because this is what they're trying to accomplish on a worldwide scale, not just in America. Okay. Where you will now be tried by an artificial intelligence whom they are going to worship as a god, because this idol, be that of an artificial intelligence, right, and now has a mind of its own, is capable of giving judgments on its own. Okay. And this is what Esau is doing. This is why it's called predictive programming. Okay. And they put these sort of scenarios within these movies so that they can gradually prepare you. Okay. This is why it's called gradualism, which when you look up that word, it means a sequence of steps. So they have to, go by a step-by-step process to get you comfortable with the idea that this is where they're going to take the technology to the next level. Okay. So let's get ready to close this out, because I didn't want this to be too long, but let's come back over here. Revelation 13:16. Let's read it one more time. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark or a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right. We know that Elon Musk is trialing human beings with his Neuralink technology microchip. All right. It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right. So when John the Revelator wrote the prophecy, he saw what's about to take place in our lifetime. Okay. And this is why the scripture says, let's get Habakkuk 2. All right. And 3, it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. And you're seeing it right now if you're not living under the rock. When you look at what's going on across the four corners of the earth, when you look at the politics and the technology and what they're doing behind closed doors, this vision is speaking right now, and it's not lying. It says, though it tarry, meaning though it may seem like it's taking its sweet time, because they haven't just openly come out and say, hey, here's the microchip. You all right? This is what we're doing. Everybody got to take it. No, they're not going to do it in that way. There's a certain event, okay, or certain crisis moment that I believe personally, and just me speaking as a man, that's going to happen, that's going to offset them bringing in the microchip, because they have everything at their disposal. The technology is here. They've already got the systems up and running. They just need the right event to take place in order to pass this down. Okay. So I'm going to read it again. Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. And though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So everything, I've been telling you and showed you here, okay, you can take it with a grain of salt and do your own research, but best believe these words are faithful and true. And the prophecies are speaking, whether you believe or not. All right. Whether you believe or not. Okay. And that's just what it is. All right. Everybody else is just bugged out. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand the prophecies. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just running their mouth. Okay. But the prophets are here telling you what's about to happen. Okay. Before the Most High comes and destroys this place, he sends his servants, the prophets, to let you know what time we in. All right. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying, straight to the point. And I want to give all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakah HaKwadash. Double honors once again to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect, the tabernacle of David. And it's on to the next. Lord's will, Shalom.